Marriage
And
Story
it's a
is the
great-
latest film.
It's a great line in the
Noah
film because you
Baumbach.
see that in the
Noah
film. You
Baumbach
see
is
that
the,
even though
director
they were,
who
working
created the
together from the
films
beginning,
Frances
suddenly
Ha
it becomes
and
competition.
Mistress
And suddenly
America,
it's
and
like
a
who
few
can
others,
one-up
I
each
believe,
other
but they're the main
and who
ones, I
can,
believe, that
take
people know and
control
talk about
of the
most.
divorce,
Frances
who can part easily being the better out of the two. I do think Mistress America is kind of okay, but it just didn't really do the kind of same things, and it just didn't really feel like it flowed very well in terms of dialogue and stuff. But Frances Ha was just so charming to watch. Yeah, the slice of life isn't for everyone, and sometimes it actually doesn't really work for me. But I think Frances Ha is a great example of how you can get it right. Yeah, sure, you sometimes have the issue of like there not being a plot at the core of the film, and it's just kind of, just random scenes sort of thrown together, and it's just kind of wishy-washy. But sometimes you can get something really good out of it. Marriage Story, though, I think is very different. It's not really something you can compare to the previous films from the director, and I do believe this is easily the best film, and perhaps my favourite film of the year so far. Marriage Story is excellent. It is absolutely excellent. Like there is so much to love about this film. I think audiences of all kinds will take a lot out of this film. The film clearly focuses on a marriage between two people, but it's not really quite like that because they are in fact going through a divorce. And obviously I've never been through a divorce. I'm not particularly that old of a person, but I do believe the way it depicts that story of two people, going from absolutely loving each other to crumbling apart, I think is very well executed. There are plenty of films in the past, obviously, that focus on divorce and the breakdown of a marriage, but what I feel like this film does differently is that there's this kind of like light tone to the film throughout. Like, it's not completely devastating the whole way through. You're not completely getting your heart ripped out of your chest. There's this strange glimmer of hope throughout that I can't quite explain, but it just makes you feel like you're not watching something extremely devastating while you're watching the film. I can't quite explain it, but this film for me wasn't Blue Valentine, for example, where your soul is just being crushed the whole way through and you just question everything in life, and you suddenly decide that maybe marriage will never happen for you because you don't know if you ever want to go through that. This little glimmer of hope sort of lingers throughout in a really weird way, and you know that you're not really supposed to be rooting for them because of the mass amount of issues in their relationship, but there is just something there, and I can't quite pick out what it is. There's some great scenes just between them and individually as you just really get to experience the ins and outs of what going through a divorce is like. I think what the film just does absolutely brilliantly is how you see the two sides to an individual, and those two sides are separate but they're within each other, and you can't quite trust each character because they've done things, and then throughout the divorce you know that their motivations have changed and they're being a little bit selfish. One of the best quotes in the film easily being where the guy says, criminal lawyers bring out the best in worst people, but divorce lawyers bring out the worst in the good people. And you slowly see that pan out in the film as well, where you have this impression that they're actually going to work together throughout the divorce, so the child gets the best outcome and they can work together and remain friends, remain on good terms. But yet suddenly it becomes a bit of a point scoring contest about who is the better person and who has it harder and who can get the upper hand over this entire divorce. And you just know that that's exactly how it always works in these situations. And one thing I liked about the film is that you didn't really get a sense, or I didn't get a sense throughout, that there was one character to root for and one character to root against. Like, you were just rooting for both of them. You wanted the best of both of them the whole way through. They were two such great characters, great likable characters. The performances were just so on point. Like, if there aren't going to be any Oscar nominations for either of these guys, then I say we cancel the Oscars forever, because their Oscars just don't need to exist if these two cannot even at least get some recognition. But that's the thing as well, like a film like this could kind of suffer with like replay value if you had one character that you really liked and then the other character that you didn't like, because I don't know, like sometimes you don't need that in films. It gets a bit too tedious with, like, you know, the bad and the good, who's bad, who's good, the good need to win. Like, this wasn't really about that. It was so complex and so complicated between them both that you just didn't really have any moral reason to go with one over the other. There's lots of great humour throughout the film as well. There were really some hilarious moments, which I appreciated a lot. Like I said, it added to that lightheartedness, which I mentioned earlier. It just has that like nimble, off-the-cuff type humour that you see in Baumbach films. Nothing feels out of place either, though, in regards to humour. I mean, you have two lawyers in the film who are pretty hilarious in their roles. They have some great scenes that really match the the type of humour that the film is going for. Nothing just feels out of place completely. Everything naturally flows right up until the ending, which felt like the perfect ending for this film without spoiling it, obviously. It just couldn't really have ended any other way. I think this film just taps into so many raw emotions. There's such a great scene where they have this huge argument and they're just having this back and forth of like, you did this and you were doing this, and no, but you changed and you just weren't like this at the start, and like you just feel everything that you always feel in regards to relationships, and, you know, if you've experienced breakups and stuff like that. It's just all so realistic. I just love that about this film. Yeah, easily one of the best films of the year. Easily one of the best films of the year. Probably will make my decade list as well. Like, it's just that good. I have so much good to say about this film. I think it is just absolutely brilliant. I just had this odd feeling throughout the film, like I've seen this film before. I just felt like I was sitting down with a film that I had seen so many times, and it was cemented in film history somehow without it, you know, being out with like for barely a few months. Like, there was just something about it that just felt homely, and yeah, I think this was remarkable. So I'm going to go a 9 out of 10. I think this is easily my favourite film of the year. Lots of great things about it. I hope you enjoy it as well. I hope this gets the recognition it deserves. If you have anything to say about this film, let me know what you think of it in the comments. Thank you for watching my review. Hopefully you have a good day, and subscribe if you haven't already. Goodbye.